ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Rich Danby.
Thank you very much, Russell. Thank you all for being on the call. This is a Leaders Share group, and it's something that I've had in the back of my mind for quite a while. And I'm really excited to have our guest with us here, Russell Westcott. Russell's been a friend of mine for many years, and I met Russell through the Real Estate Investment Network. And back when I was learning, working on my personal development, Russell was one of the guys on the stage. So I learned a lot of things from him. I learned how to raise capital. He's excellent at that. But one of the things I learned from him the most is just how to be a good person. He always shows up as the same person. One time I was at a room and I just watched. He stayed all night long answering every single question. And I noticed that that's a pattern with him. He's a guy who just loves to give. Ethically, we're on the same page together. And we're big fans. We have a great romance, right? Right, Russell? It's been no comment on that. He's just smiling. And
I'm trying to take it all in, my brother.
Take it in. There you go. Just bask in it. So we've been friends for a really long time. And when I talked about Leaders Share, Russell and I, we get on a call every Tuesday at noon hour, and we just share with each other. And we realized through doing that some of the conversations we're having are conversations that we feel that the people who are on this call need to have as well. They come from a place of sometimes pain, sometimes excitement, but we have each other to lean on. And I just felt that this is something that the community needs as entrepreneurs. Now with Tyler is a 21-year-old. He's raised $12 million. He is a hustler. And this guy really impresses me. And the reason, how I met Tyler originally, I think I was speaking at an event in Winnipeg. And then I went out to Regina a couple of months ago and I saw him again. And he just impresses me. Everything about him is just amazing. He still acts like a 21-year-old. He has beers, he has friends. So he's a normal person, and I think everybody can relate to him. And when we saw him at Oreo, he actually inspired me in that room because he was the reason why I decided it's finally time to launch this idea that I've been sitting on for a while, because we all know that there's things that we could be doing to improve our lives personally, professionally, spiritually, but we don't always do those things. And what's the reason that we don't do them? I think the reason is because outside of a meeting, there's really no network, there's no community to really help people get through those obstacles. So for me, this obstacle that I faced was based on, hold on one second here. Well, first of all, I just want to share what this was based on. Leaders Share was based on this picture right here. And Russell and I have both had experience, both highs and lows. And I feel like there's not a place to go for when you have that pain. Like, where do you go? Who do you talk to? And we talked about it a little bit earlier today with Tyler and some of the techniques and what Tyler does when he's in these situations. And we'll just share that story in a moment. But where do you go? What's your resource? Who do you turn to? And often as entrepreneurs, it can feel really, really lonely. And even when you're having success, it can feel lonely because, you know, if in my case, I'm very blessed that I have the opportunity to work with my wife. And so we can share those things together. But as entrepreneurs, it's a very lonely road. And I think it's important that there's a community. And I wanted to create that community, not just for Ottawa, but globally. And that's why I started with Russell and Tyler. Their stories are fascinating, and I'm very inspired by them. And I know that you will be too. And we'll get to them in just a moment. So I want to go back to what we're planning on talking about. So I explained to you why Leaders Share and why this came together. And I plan to bring in different guests, and Russell will stick with me. We're going to do quite a few of them together. And we're going to just bring in people who we feel that are leaders who can contribute to your success. And again, this is not just for real estate investors. This is for people who are entrepreneurs or want to become entrepreneurs, or people who just want to be better people. It's not just going to be real estate. I was talking to my nutritionist this morning who called me to ask about some real estate stuff. And I said to him, you know, you're a guest who I'd like to have on this in the future, because it's not just going out and hustling and finding the deal. It's about who you are, how you show up physically, how you represent yourself, and how, most importantly, that you help others. So that's the purpose of this. In a moment, we're going to share some insights from our guests. We'll get into that in just a second. We want to also take this opportunity to open it up to you so that you can share your challenges that you've been facing. We want to answer your questions. And we also want to talk to you about how you can join our community. We've created a Facebook page. It's called Leaders Share Mastermind. And we really want to have that space for you to share with one another and lean upon each other in those challenging times, and even to celebrate those successes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to you, Russell, first. And I just would like for you to share some of the insights with tonight's guests of some of those challenges that you faced. And some of those things would be around, basically, we'll go through this just in a second. Sorry, Russell, I'll get to you in just a second here. But I want you to know that our intention here for this mastermind group is to help you through the challenges, but we want to talk 15% about the problems and 85% about the solutions. We talked about this earlier, guys, right? And so this is not meant to be a pity party. This is not meant to be a therapy session. This is meant to be about finding solutions. So on the call, we're going to address your issues, but we're going to spend most of that time trying to help you. And it's not just Russell, myself, and Tyler. It's us as a community. That's what we want to see, is we want to see all of you contributing to this, because it's about giving and taking. We want to have that. So we're going to bring together a variety of leaders, as I mentioned, and we want you to share your expertise along the way. We want you to uplift and encourage each other along the way. And we want you to expand your I Get It network. And that's what we're going to talk about. Tyler has a great story about how he tapped into his I Get It network. And we really need to have that group of people who understand what it is that we're going through. And also we want to inspire you to take action, to move forward with your goals. And we want to provide a safe and comfortable environment so that you can be heard and understood and not judged. We're not here to judge. We're here to share. We want to inspire. We want to help. That's what this is all about. And lastly, we want to get you through the shitty days, because there are going to be shitty days, and I'm sure that you've all experienced that. But what do you do during those shitty days? How do you overcome it? And we're going to get to Tyler in just a moment. But before we do, Russell, I'm going to turn it over to you. Maybe you can start by sharing some of the things that you've had to go through and overcome in those shitty days, and maybe share some stories. But before you get into that, I want everybody on this call to reflect upon that and think, well, Russell and Tyler are sharing their stories and their challenges and obstacles that they've had to overcome. What are your challenges? What are your obstacles right now? How can we help? Because after we hear from Russell and after we hear from Tyler, we're going to open it up to you, and anybody is welcome to jump in with their feedback. And we're going to kind of turn it into a hot seat scenario where we're all going to collectively try to work to get you through whatever that obstacle is. So just keep that in mind, and I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Russell. Here's Russell.
Well, first of all, Rich, thank you for not having the segue of get you through the shitty days. And here's Russell Westcott. First and foremost, Rich, just honored and grateful for the invitation. And before we do get started into this, I just want to offer you a big congratulations. Like, truly, this was an idea 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks maybe. You saw a presentation that Tyler had given, and it just had got a bee in your bonnet, and you were inspired. And then one of our Tuesday conversations, we sat there, okay, let's pick a date. Okay, what date? How about the 19th? Okay, done. Let's just do it, right? So from concept, that's been in the back of your mind, to idea to having something like this, all within 2 to 3 weeks. So congratulations for the execution and the speed of getting her done there, brother.
Thank you.
Before I do share a little bit of my insights into this, I just wanted to just let you know that some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, you're not alone. Everybody has these challenges, and everybody has these experiences. And sometimes we think that, you know, we're an island and we're in isolation, and you know what, we're the only one that feels this way. And you know what, some days the only thing you want to do is you want to hit the snooze button 2,500 times, and you want to curl up in a fetal position, and you just don't want to get out of bed, and you just don't want to deal with nothing. So if you are having those feelings today or any day, just understand that you're not alone, and this is a safe place for you to share, safe place to come together, and a safe place where there is absolutely no judgment whatsoever. Okay. One thing I wanted to share with you, Rich, is funny. After our call today, I was just doing some more reflection on things, and I have so many stories I can share, but I actually want to share something that's very top of mind that I'm going through right now. And what I'm going through right now, and I feel this, and I felt this every time I was about to take the next level, the next step up in my development, the next step up in taking my business to the next level, the next step up in my skill set growth, the next step up. Sometimes I have the feeling of and for lack of a better term, it's called the imposter syndrome. Where sometimes you just sit there and you go there and you look at it and you go, geez, what the, pardon my language, but what the hell do I know about this? I'm not the expert to go through this. I'm going through a project right now where I'm interviewing some people raising some serious capital. Like I had a conversation with a guy last week that's doing an $80 million project. He's raising $20 million in one deal. And I'm sitting there going, holy shit, pardon my French, and those kind of things. So you compare yourself to others, and then you have a little bit of that imposter syndrome. And for many years while I was with the Real Estate Investment Network, I was afraid to show the that I was struggling or having challenges, because you're on stage and you're in front of 400 or 500 at an acre program. You're in front of 900 to 1,000 people, and you're afraid to share that I don't know what I'm doing here, right? I'm learning as I go, and I'm making the commitment to elevate my game in the whole side of the raising capital side of things, and taking everything I've learned over the past 15, 16 years and taking it up into the big leagues, right? Taking up into the major dollar amounts. And you know what? That's a stretch. It's a huge stretch. And I'm wrestling with the whole thing around, holy moly, what do I know? And a little bit of the imposter syndrome. So I am open to your guidance on how to get through that, brother.
Sure. Well, I can tell you, you're definitely not alone in the imposter syndrome. And you mentioned that you're on stage talking, and sometimes you feel like, maybe you're faking it till you make it. And I know when I'm on stage, I'm always trying to inspire, but also share the honest truth. And, you want to feel like, you kind of have things under control, but you also don't want to mislead people into thinking that you're perfect and that they need to be too. So I totally get that. And I've always kind of taken the position where you share your failures along the way. And I know that all three of us have had those failures, and, that we're all open to talking about. And I think that's really what the community needs. So I appreciate you sharing that. And also, when you were at Oreo, Oreo is the Ottawa Real Estate Investors Organization. For those of you who don't know, in October, this past October, Russell came and he gave an amazing presentation. And during that presentation, Russell, you were very vulnerable, and we received amazing feedback about that. And maybe you want to just share some of those, challenges that you shared during that night of obstacles that you faced. And there's going to be super high days, and then there's going to be super low days, and you've definitely been through all of them.
Yeah. And I can give you everybody and maybe I'm showing my age here. And well, speaking of age first, Tyler, 21, really?
Really?
I have underwear older than that, by the way, just as an FYI. So yeah.
So do I.
No, just, and for those of you that if you're on the line now, like I know Dan Golby is on the line and good friend there. For some people that maybe were investing in the Alberta marketplace for the last, 12, 15 plus years, there's been some big ups and downs. There's been, you can't help but be impacted by two downturns in a market within a 7-year time frame. And, I'll be honest, the easiest way to describe it is I bought some bad properties in bad areas that had bad tenant profiles. And that's not a recipe for success. It's not even a recipe for success in the good times. I got caught up in ego, and the only reason why I was buying real estate was to stand up in front of a group of people and pump my chest and boast about how great I am and how wonderful I'm doing. And it was all 100% an ego-driven conversation, because you know what? It came from an insecurity, and the insecurity was, I didn't want to feel like a fraud standing up in front of a group of people telling people, I'm teaching people how to invest in real estate. And you know what? It was an insecurity around, not, keeping up with the big dogs, right? Keeping up with the, the powerful leaders of the community and keeping up with everybody else. So I actually bought some properties It was 100% based upon an insecurity and based upon an ego. And you know what? 15 years later, I'm paying the price still by having, the last year and a half, I've had to sell about 20 properties. And a good portion of those 20 I had to sell, I actually had to bring a check to the closing table. So that means I had to pay money to sell a house, which that isn't a recipe for success.
Maybe just share how that happened, because people would be confused how you could own a property that long and have to write a check.
Well, how did it happen? So bad property, bad area, bad tenant, bought at an absolute peak, a peak of a marketplace. And there are some properties that I bought 10 years ago that the property values still are not where they were 10 years ago. Market's corrected. Market has come down significantly. Let's put it this way. I'm closing on a property July 3rd that I had to sell just because I could not afford to hold it anymore. I know for a fact there's a special assessment coming. It hasn't had a reserve fund study done in 12 years. There's deficiencies. There's going to be a major cash call coming on that property. I bought that property 10 years ago for $180,000. I'm selling it for $130,000.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time you factor in mortgage pay down over 10 years, I'm going to be at best, I'm going to lose about 20 grand, and my investment partner is going to lose about 13 on that deal. So, and a lot of people say, well, why don't you just keep hanging on to it? It would be actually more expensive to hang on to this property than it would be to sell it.
Right. So Russell, in all of that, obviously a lot of pain, a lot of unexpected things. We said we were going to talk about 15% of the problems and 85% of the solutions. How did you come out of that, and what positive came out of that for you?
Well, the positive that came out of that is actually, for lack of a better term, it was a cleansing, and I had to get rid of, and I'm not trying to make light of anybody who's maybe had cancer in their life or somebody who's had cancer, but I had a tumor in my portfolio of real estate. Right. And I had to cut out the tumor, and I had to move on with it, because once I was able to get rid of the tumor and get rid of the damaged properties and get rid of all that, it's now freeing up more opportunities, and it's freeing up new opportunities in development. It's freeing up new opportunities in new construction. It's freeing up new opportunities in new partnerships and new relationships. I could not have had the capacity to deal with anything new in my life until I cleaned up the old crap.
Yeah. That totally makes a lot of sense.
And you know what? I had properties, and this isn't the more pity for everyone. I'm answering your question about how does that happen. Mm-hmm. I had a portfolio of real estate that, we got hit with a $43,000 special assessment per property, and I had 12 of them. Wow. Right. So put that in your calculator and do that number crunching. And, I had over 6 years to pay it off. However, I think the number I had to stroke a check each year for 6 years of something like $60,000 a year. And there was no way the cash flow would ever come from that. So I absolutely, from all those challenges and all those mistakes and all those wrong properties, I learned some very hard lessons on finding the right properties in the right areas with the right tenant profiles.
Right. Well, I can say to that, I too have had struggles in the last year. And in 2017, we were doing 5 flips at the same time, and we hired the wrong people, and we just had some bad luck and even some mistakes we made ourselves. And, a lot of why we're here today is based on these stories where you don't have it figured out necessarily. And if you're trying to have all the answers before you start, you're never going to start. So you at some point have to proceed and move forward. And I think for us in those failures actually came a lot of successes, because we realized what we don't want to do. And we also were able to really figure out what our strengths are. And now we're kind of readjusting what we're doing to try to work more within the lanes of which we're meant to be. But as an entrepreneur, you wear all the hats in the beginning. And at some point, as it expands, you run out of time. And then you have to start handing away the hats. The question is, are you prepared for that? And who are you handing the hats to? So Tyler, I want to get to you now. Earlier today, you told us that you were the one who said that you had a shitty day yesterday. Maybe you could just touch a little bit on that and what happened and how you got out of it.
Yeah, no. So thank you so much for having me on here first. I'm so excited and I love that, because my whole thing is obviously, using my community and using my surroundings to grow and to get where I am today. So I'm super happy to be a part of this and to be on a guest on here tonight. So I'm super excited. But yeah, so when we first hopped on the call, I was telling the guys like, yesterday it was one of those off days. I don't always have those energetic, awesome, everything's going my way days. And yesterday was most definitely not one of those. And, it's almost like, problem after problem came up. I was trying to find solutions, wasn't working. And then my mind just totally went like out of it, was going blank, and I felt stuck. And, I was trying to find a solution. I went to a couple meetings and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And right away I knew like exactly what I had to do. I called one of my friends who's also a real estate entrepreneur. I called him and I was like, hey, like today is not my day. And he was just like, you know what? Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Like let's not even talk about it. Just take a break. Literally don't do anything. I told him the few things I need to get done. He ended up getting them done for me. And I just took a break. Just totally took a break.
What did you do?
And what I did, this was like 3 PM. So this was like, I ended my day early. So it was 3 PM. I went back to my place. I put on my workout stuff and I went for a run. I just put in my headphones and ran. I just said, I forgot about everything. Just went for a run, did some meditation in the park, went for a way longer run than I usually go for. I just didn't stop. And, once I got back to my place, I sat there and I was like, yeah, I feel better. And then on top of that, I was going to get back into the work, but I'm like, no, I'm still not in that mindset. And I don't want to make a decision when I'm not feeling positive or I'm not feeling driven. I'm not at my like high power, if you want to call it that. I don't want to make a decision because that decision is not going to be what I'll want when I'm feeling good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take that break. And, I was just watching some motivational videos. I was watching a few educational videos and then just ended the night with doing some reading. I just really took it easy. And a big thing is I set my intentions for the next day, right? So I said, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to get this done. I scheduled my day and I woke up this morning and I'm right back at it.
What time were you up again this morning, Tyler?
5 a.m. 5 a.m.
Is that a guy who hustles or what? Brandon, did you hear that? My son is on the line for those who don't know. He's 21. So you're up at 5 a.m., right, Tyler?
Yes, I had to, man. I felt like I was like, I got to get the start of the day. Like I had so much stuff I got to get done too. And I was so fired up. By the end of the day, I could barely even like go to sleep. I was just so excited about the next day already.
Right. Well, one of the things you mentioned in there that you went for a run. So the importance of dealing with that stress when it comes in. There are many choices you can make. Most of them are not necessarily good for you, especially when you're in times of stress. So I think it's pretty cool that you decided to go for a run and burn that energy off and try to kind of let things go for the day. And I think, I've heard this, somebody say that, there's only so much you can do in a day. And if you're trying to measure your accomplishments in weeks rather than days, you're kind of a recipe for disaster. You can only do what you can do. So do what you can do. And if you have that off day, then, what you did and how you approach it, I think is just perfect. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And the biggest thing is having that, you got to find that thing as well. Like my thing now is running, right? Yeah. Because a lot of people, they find an unhealthy thing. Like my thing 6 months ago, not even 6 months ago, was smoking. I used to be a smoker.
Really?
And that's what so that's what I would do. I would, instead of going for a run and meditating, I would just smoke. I'd go out for a cigarette. And a lot of people it's eating, or a lot of people it's sitting there watching Netflix or something. You got to find a healthy alternative. In my mind, I think that's really key.
So how do you stay motivated during those times to go to the healthy alternative or do the right thing? Because as you said, a lot of people have bad vices they go to. I know one of my struggles is food. If I'm feeling stressed or tired, I tend to go eat sugar. And I know these things are not good for me, but it's a struggle sometimes to make the right choices. What do you do to get through that?
I've got a vision board. So on my vision board, I have more than just, I want my business here and money here and a big portfolio here. I got, what I want to look like and where I want to be in 5 years and the man I want to be. And when I look at that and I envision that, and the example I want to give to other young entrepreneurs, I'm just like, hey, this is a guy that goes for a run when he's stressed out, not goes and smokes cigarettes, right? So that might sound a little weird, but that's what it is. I look at who I want to become and who I am becoming and base my actions now that I'm taking now on that.
That's awesome. And the other thing that you mentioned was that you called a friend who's a real estate investor, somebody who you obviously connect with and look up to. And I think that's important too, to have that network and have those people. And beyond the individuals, we're trying to create that for everybody so that beyond just the inner circle that you have, you can expand that. And that's what we're all about here. So thank you for sharing that story, Tyler. Do you guys have anything you want to add before we open it up to the people on the call?
So Tyler, on that vision board of the man you want to become is one day being able to shave. Is that on there too?
Yeah.
I'm just teasing with you, brother. If we can't have fun, what else can we do?
I love it.
Tyler hit the nail on the head, guys. So here's one thing you need to do if you're really just stuck. And Tyler, it's funny you say that you used to smoke. One of the things that people do is one of the reasons why people smoke when it comes time for stress is actually, if you think about it, it actually slows your breathing down. Mm-hmm. Right? That's why people do this, because you take the big inhale, you then inhale it in, so it actually slows your breathing down. But why don't you actually learn how to do it without putting a cigarette in your mouth, right? So meditation was wonderful for me during the really, really big anxiety times, because it just focused you to just slow down, get back to the present, and then just focus on breathing. The other two things, and all this is just, some people are going to say, well, this is so simple. Yeah, it is simple. And I knew all this, but I actually just couldn't get past it. When you're going through it, you just can't see the forest through the trees. Is number one, it comes down to lack of control. And the only two things you can control is how you move your body and what food you put in your body.
Exactly.
Right? And those are the two biggest things that can control what you can control. So go for a run. Even have a nap if you need to have a nap. Just do something, and then also just be very mindful of the food you're going to eat. And I know we're going to share some resources here in a bit, but there was a book that made a huge difference for me around that time when I was going through that. And I don't know if any of you are familiar or can see this, a lady by the name of Mel Robbins, called The 5-Second Rule.
Yeah.
Fantastic book, easy, short read. And you might, when you go through it, you go, well, that's just such a silly little concept. Yeah, it's silly, but it works. So I'm just going to leave that for people to review that as well if you're interested. So it's called 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins.
Yeah, I want to jump in on that, Russell, because there's two things you said there. One was the 5-second rule. So some of the things about the 5-second rule is when you set your alarm clock in the morning, everybody's tempted to hit snooze. But if you get in the habit of once that alarm clock goes off, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you challenge yourself to get out of that bed within the first 5 seconds, then you can train yourself to be able to create good habits. The other thing that you mentioned, Russell, is you mentioned meditation. And I know that both you and I have used the app called Headspace. That's a free app, and it's guided meditation. So you subscribed to that for a while too, didn't you, Russell?
Yeah, still do. I actually did a cycle where I did 365 days in a row on it. So
wow.
Yeah, I use that as well.
You do, eh?
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, Rich, if you do read the 5-second rule, is actually Mel Robbins subscribes doing counting backwards from 5 down to 1. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 blast off.
Okay, that's good.
Which it interrupts your pattern, and it also activates a different part of your brain to get you into motion, into action, because you're now counting backwards as opposed to going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we all do automatically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then it has a little bit of a trick in there as well about you put a blast off into it and things like that. And I know it sounds cheesy, guys.
Awesome.
Trust me on this. If you actually do these kind of things, it makes a difference, because being successful as an entrepreneur is not about mastering these big giant buckets of things. It's actually being a master of the little game, and being a master of the 6 inches between your right ear and your left ear, and be a master of playing small ball, like playing the small game of things, and just mastering those daily habits and routines. So
yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Tyler? You have anything you want to add?
No, but I thought that was all good. And the big thing is the Headspace app. Like, I find meditation is a huge thing for me now. And whenever I'm trying to get people into it, they're struggling a lot. But the Headspace app, it's a guided meditation for those of you that don't know. And I'm subscribed to it. I think it's like $10 a month, and it's phenomenal phenomenal. They have so many different ones. If you're feeling like you have anxiety, if you're, you're feeling like down, you're feeling angry, or you want happy, or gratitude, it's just so much stuff. So I love that. And I love what Russell was talking about too, about, feeling like, that feeling of like, am I capable, or, being like you're too out there. You know what I mean? Going off what you were talking about too, I feel like that a lot as well when I'm posting a lot of stuff online. And a big thing too, when I'm posting online, is that I'm really bad to try and be perfect. I always want to be perfect, or I always look at somebody that is doing what I want to be doing, and then I compare it to my current stuff, and then I won't release it, or I won't start it, because I'm trying to be just like them, or just be like the pros, if you want to call it that. And that's really set me back far in a lot of my things as well. Yeah. So perfectionism as an entrepreneur will completely stall you and like literally set you back years and years and years.
Yeah, I completely can relate to that, because as you guys know, I was in television broadcasting for 15 years. And the only time I ever got in shit from my boss was when somebody called the station or emailed the station because they saw a spelling mistake in the name key that was underneath someone's name. And so I had to learn to become a perfectionist when it came to spelling and just presentation. So sometimes I'll spend a ridiculously long amount of time trying to form the perfect email to say the perfect thing. And so I can relate to what you're saying, Tyler. Also, when it comes to social media, it's just, I know Russell and I, even when we're doing takes, we did a promo for this leader share, eh? And we nailed it on the first take, didn't we, Russell? But we did like 6 of them. we were just trying to be perfect. And then,
Rich, I wanted the video outtake so I can have something on you, because there was I'm not saying there wasn't nudity in one of them, but
what? I wasn't part of that one. I think you're probably confusing videos here.
Right, sorry, that was the wrong session.
That's a different webinar. So
hey Rich. Hey, I don't want to let you off the hook without sharing as well, because sure. We were talking this afternoon, and you actually have, I know perfectionism is one of yours that you talked about, but you actually have one of those obstacles that people might think is very counterintuitive, that, people go, geez, I wish I had that obstacle of having too many opportunities. So maybe share that with us as well.
Yeah, this group also is around helping people with their focus issues. And tomorrow I'm going to be having a session here with some people who are helping me in kind of the next chapter of my business. But the problem is as you start kind of moving forward and you start pursuing opportunities and personal growth, you then become a magnet to other people. So I've been pulled in so many directions where people are calling me, trying to get me involved in what they're doing. And it's not even all real estate related. So sometimes I find myself in kind of an analysis paralysis situation. I have such a long to-do list that I don't even know where to start sometimes. And all the different opportunities that I have, it's a blessing, but sometimes as you try to inch along 10 different things, you actually accomplish nothing. So it's a good problem to have, but I need focus. And, I think maybe I have a low attention span anyway, but this is one of those scenarios where I feel like if there was a community where you could just go and say, hey, let's just cut right through it. What's that one thing? What are you guys seeing? What's the advice? Rather than being on my own, flailing around, trying to figure it out, I now feel I'm able to do that. And I've already been doing that through friends like Russell and some other people even that are on the call here today. And I just feel it's an important thing to have that kind of group. And the intentions of this group is to have not just real estate, but people from all different fields, so that we can kind of share in different areas. So if your weakness is multimedia, well, my son Brandon does multimedia, coincidentally. He's for hire right now, but he's very busy working together with me this summer. But there are people on this group, even right now, I can tell from looking at the names, who are really good at marketing. They're really good at putting together business plans. They're very good at putting together promotional type stuff. And that's really what we need. We need that kind of community. And so, yes, having the difference between no opportunities and great opportunities is you have options, which is fantastic, but it's getting through that noise and getting rid of the hats that you shouldn't be wearing so that you can partner and align with the right people so that you can have success and move forward. Okay,
well, let me ask you a question, Rich.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the too many opportunities, shiny object syndrome?
You know what? A crazy man chases 10 chickens, and I'm guilty of chasing 12 chickens,
And
13.
catching a couple turkeys?
I'm the turkey. I'm the turkey chasing the chickens. The only way to really overcome that is to just get clear on your why. And Tyler touched on that a little bit earlier. Like in those challenging days, he goes to his vision board and he knows why. I think it's a struggle really to keep that motivation going. I feel like, when I'm at these events, I feel super motivated. When I reach out to individual friends, I feel super motivated. But, sitting in my own house and I'm only accountable to myself, that sometimes can be a challenge. So it's really about setting up habits and surrounding yourself with people and a network environment where you can push through that kind of stuff.
What are some of your habits there, brother? How do you set your day up? You shared something with me earlier about, and I was actually very impressed with a resource that you use quite effectively as well.
Which resource was that? I forget.
Your Trello board.
My what?
Trello? Your Trello board?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I should probably share that. But there is a program called Trello, and basically it's free software that you can download, and we all use it here within Rich Auto Investments to keep organized. And so you can create as many boards as you want, and you can have your immediate to-do list, and then you can have all these different boards for different things that you're working on. So I find that's a great way to stay organized. Obviously, trying to fill out your calendar as best you can. And the thing is, there is no perfect in this case, Russell. It's, I go through highs and lows. I'm coming out of right now what I would consider a little bit of a rut. With winter, I feel ever since I turned 40, I struggle a little bit more to stay motivated, to stay positive. It seems to impact me a little bit more, or at least that's the story that I'm telling myself. And so, now I'm just kind of getting back into it. And some of the habits I had before, they're still there, but, waking up in the morning within the 5 seconds of the alarm, jumping into a cold shower, waking myself up, it really makes me alert. And then just getting on with the day, planning the night before, things that you could be doing to just prepare for the next day, as Tyler was mentioning. Those are just some good habits to get into. And obviously the exercise and the diet are huge as well. And then I also think working on your spiritual development. I heard somebody say recently that, I know from being at Tony Robbins that, he teaches there that you have to think positive and you got to say positive things to yourself. So, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. But I feel like there was something missing in that for me because, I'm really still just working alone in trying to figure out how to be motivated. And I'm using just myself, feeling like, I'm in control of the situation when really I don't feel that I am. So recently I've reached into more of the spiritual side, and I've read this book called Refuel. It's by a guy named Rob Parkman, and I met him when I was in Regina a couple months ago, and he's actually on this call. But what was interesting was when I went to Regina, I was there to speak, and Tyler was one of the speakers, and that was about teaching people how to flip homes, and I talked about Airbnb. But the thing that I got most out of that whole weekend of being there was this book and meeting Rob Parkman. And I read this book on the way home. It's called Refuel, Strengthen Your Soul, Energize Your Mission. And I felt like that was something that I really needed. And, so now I'm kind of like recognizing that, I don't have to be doing this alone, and that, there is support, and, I feel really positive about that. So I recommend picking up that book. Rob Parkman is selling them at the end of this call for 50% off, right? Is Rob still on this call? Yeah, he is.
Make sure your affiliate link is there, Rich. And there was something wrong with the shipping. There was only 20 copies were shipped.
20 copies remaining here. So anyways, they're very expensive books now that there's only 20 copies. I've actually been spreading the word, and I know that people have been buying and reading this book. And I think that we need to be really well balanced. And, so it's mind, body, health, spirituality, all of these things. I think you learn over time, and, we don't all get there at the same time. And we also fail along the way. So you don't have to be perfect. It's just really just trying to be a better version of yourself every day, and not comparing yourself to others, because that's just going to leave you feeling painful, and that's not a good place to be.
Nice. Can I get an amen, brother?
Amen, brother. Yeah.
Hey, Tyler, same question for you. How do you set your day up there, my friend?
Yeah, so I set my whole day up. Do you know what? It's funny that we're talking about. It's funny how we're starting to incorporate the books, right?
Yeah.
Because the way I set up my day is actually from the book I was going to recommend to everybody, The One Thing by Gary Keller. And when I set up my day, what happened was, it's funny, like a year ago, I would write down so much stuff. Like my to-do list would be filled with a bunch of stuff. But
Right.
now after reading The One Thing, I now have a success list.
Sure.
I now have goals that are written down. Like my priorities are stuff that's actually going to take me somewhere. And everything else is just a task, or not as important. See, there we go. And I put that at the bottom. I'll wait until the next day, or I'll hand that off to somebody else, because
Right.
what was happening, I was focusing way too much on things that weren't getting me anywhere and weren't aligned with my vision board. And once I started focusing on the right things, it was amazing. And also going back to planning my day, I time block. The first 4 hours of my day, nobody can get a hold of me. My phone is on do not disturb. So if I wake up a little bit earlier, that's why if any of you are calling me at like 10:30, it goes straight to voicemail. My phone's on do not disturb. I'm so focused on working on my personal development and personally growing 4 hours, my first 4 hours out of each day, that nobody can interfere with that. I don't care if anything. Some people are like, oh, like what if one of the buildings are on fire? Don't you got to get a hold of you? I'm like, no, what am I going to do? I'm the last guy you should get a hold of if something's on fire. So I really time block and I focus on things that are going to take me farther. Ever since reading The One Thing.
That's awesome. I want to open it up here for people on the call, but before we get to that, while you were talking, I got up and pulled this piece of paper off my vision board. But this is the message that I took from One Thing. Until my one thing is done, everything else is a distraction.
Yes. I love that.
Let's open it up here. Russell, can you open up the line here so we can hear some of the people on the call? What we want to know now is, what are some of the challenges that you're facing, or what are some of the challenges that you've seen other people facing, and how can we help?
So the best way to open it up, guys, is if you, there should be a way that you can raise your hand. If there's not a way you can raise your hand, if you type something into the chat box, there we go. Two participants have raised their hand. We have Kathy and Rob, and actually three. So we're going to invite, why don't we invite Mr. Rob Parkman. Rob, I'm going to promote you to a panelist here. Rob, are you there? Unmute.
There you go.
There you go. How was that?
There you go. Great. Good to be with you guys. This is a great idea. I always enjoy my weekly calls with Rich, and Tyler is a partner of ours on a couple of amazing deals, and very good to meet you too, Russell. So here's my challenge. My first year of raising capital for real estate deals went really well, and I feel like I did really well in that first layer of influence, family and friends, and a little bit of online reaching out that I did. So my challenge is now going to the next level, out to those people that I don't know yet, or might be further removed as far as being acquaintances. So my challenge is how to go to the next level to continue the journey of raising capital well beyond that first layer of influence.
Sure.
Nice. Well, good challenge to have, right? Rob, are you still there, brother?
He's there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Have each one of the people that you have worked with, family and friends and things like that, have they reached out to their network?
No, I haven't really. I'm taking notes here. I haven't done that, but yeah. And how do you best suggest that we do that?
Well, I would get I'm assuming your current first level of people are very happy with the investments you've been doing. If I follow you on Facebook and stuff like that, and I see the good positive news that you put out, I would just 100% don't be ashamed to ask any person that's participated with you already, if they want to get involved in the next one. They might be tapped out. I always give my current investment partners the opportunity first. And then I ask them, quite frankly, if they can't do it, do you know anyone else within your network or sphere of influence that you can recommend me to?
Yeah.
Good.
I was going to say also that sometimes, well, as you know, it takes time to build those relationships where people are going to feel comfortable to write you the check. So, I think that if you have a good deal, a good deal is a good deal. It certainly makes it easier to find money. But again, those are scenarios where you could reach out to people who you also know are influencers and maybe invite them to be part of that deal to help it make it easier for you to raise the capital. So maybe your equity share in the deal may drop, but if you have access to a guy like Russell and bring him in and maybe say, what could you do or what could you contribute to this? Like obviously you want some form of contribution from those people, and maybe it's just raising capital, but that would be a way that you could expand it as well.
Yeah, there's also another avenue I would highly recommend you talk, Rob. And consider this, don't get hung up on the cost and the numbers, get hung up on the result. There's an entire network of people out there called exempt market dealers, EMDs, that's their entire job, is that they attract investors and they're looking for good investments to put projects into. They'll charge 5 points for every dollar capital raised. So if you raise $1 million, you have to pay $50,000. Mm-hmm. All you do is you factor that in. You need to raise 1.1 million, right, in your next project, and let them go out and do all that. They do all the securities or all the paperwork, all the filing, the exempt market dealer status. They get all the work for all that for you, and then you just outsource that, where they get the accredited investors and they get all those people that come through the pipeline, and you just pay based upon the result of them raising the capital.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I agree with all that. And Rob, just continue to build the online presence and the online image that you have, with the deals that we're working on together, and, the success stories and everything like that as well. Because I feel like having that online image and the basis is very, very, very key, and tapping into these different networks. So I would say keep that up, because Rob, you've been doing a very good job with that. And bring back those photos you used to post, that you posted, and it had like a bunch of words on it and all that, and there was like mountains in the back. It was beautiful. It was the best thing ever. And I think, just continue posting photos and continue posting about current deals that we've done together, and just keep posting and being relevant in these groups.
And there's one more thing I'm going to offer you too, is Rob, and this is more of a deeper conversation. If you want to have this offline, I'm totally cool if you want to reach out and have this conversation. There is a concept called, awesome. If I can get the book quickly. It's actually it's something I learned from Chet Holmes, the ultimate sales machine. Inside here, he calls it the Dream 100. And I actually coined it, I call it the Key 100. So within your ideal investor community, whoever your ideal persona is, whoever that is, I hope you've gone through and you've identified that persona of who that ideal investor is. Who controls their attention? Okay, there is a group of people that control their attention. And what this exercise that I get people to do is I get you to identify 100 key influencers that control the attention of my dream investors. Then what I do each and every week, I systematically go after and I approach those people with things like, in my drawer every week, I will send out handwritten thank you cards each and every week to my key people on that 100 list. Those are the people that are the gatekeepers to the attention of the people who I want to get in front of. For example, as you're a public speaker and a public presenter, you probably could identify some groups that you want to get in front of. The real estate investment networks out in Vancouver, Aussie Jurok, out east, different groups of people that you want to get in front of. Keep sending them notes, keep providing value to their group of people. Every time you comment on their Instagram post, make it a meaningful comment. Don't just say, congratulations. Go, fantastic. You must be so proud that you're making a difference in people's lives out there. Keep up the great work, Mr. Key person of that. So what you're doing is you're becoming valuable to the gatekeepers of the attention of your dream investors. And lo and behold, by doing that each and every day, each and every week, they will just go, that Rob Parkman, man, there's something about him. I got to get him on stage. That is not by accident, my brother. That is by design, and you actually took the time and effort and you executed a plan and a vision to get in front of those people.
Nice. I like it.
So I get fired up about this, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that helps, Rob?
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome, man. So let's move on to the next here. That's Kathy Latour. She's, you can see her comment there below. She's asking about fix and flips, and she's mentioning that she's on a second general contractor, and it sounds like the project may have gone off the rails a little bit here. She's asking the question, how do you get the project back on track? So this is Kathy Latour.
Oh, sorry, I have the wrong one. I grabbed Balvin first. Sorry.
Hi, Bavin.
Hi.
There you go. You're on the air, brother.
So first, we're going to get to Kathy Latour there.
Oh,
Russ.
sorry. Okay, sorry.
No
Try
problem.
again.
Bavin, we'll put you on next.
Okay.
My fat fingers.
Hi, Kathy. How are you? We can't hear you right now, even though your mic is unmuted. We're not sure what it is. So, well, we see your question there. So, do you guys have any feedback you want to jump in on that one, Russell or Tyler? What do you do when you're on your second general contractor and things are not moving the way that they're supposed to be? What's been your successful way to get things back on track?
Well, you know, the first thing I would say is I would defer that to the person who's the fix and flip expert.
Okay. Well, I wanted to be polite and offer you the chance to answer the question. But the real truth, Kathy, is you're going to have to get involved more. And you're going to have to roll up your sleeves, and it's going to be a painful process. I never had the intention of, when I was flipping properties, I was trying to treat it like a business from the beginning. So I hired general contractors, project managers, people who were going to be responsible for it. And there is nothing harder than trying to get a project back on track after your general contractor doesn't work out. It's a mistake we all make. I don't think really, no matter how much experience you have, you can't control other people. So, you know, in some scenarios, you're just going to have to get in there. And I would say to you, a mistake that I've made is I've had scenarios where a general contractor is left and I've had them in charge of multiple projects. And in a kind of a panic to get things back on track, I hired who was available, not necessarily the best person for the job, because there's real costs in carrying these properties. And that actually just dug my hole even deeper. So the best thing to do is just to get in there and take your time finding that replacement. We know that no contractor likes to take over somebody else's job. But I feel like with experience, there are some good things that come out of that. Like, I now know how to read drawings, which I didn't know how to do before. I now really understand a lot of the inner workings of each project. And I now really know that I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be in charge of that. So in a lot of ways, those things can actually help you. But you're definitely going to have to just step in for a while and be patient in finding that replacement. Does that help, Kathy? Awesome. Okay. Well, we can't hear you, so sorry about that. Are you good with that answer?
She posted an update in the comments there, Rich.
Okay. Yeah, I'm there daily, but when I leave, they add more tasks that were not discussed. They're going to ultimately pay for these added tasks because I have set a budget, but they are falling behind because of these. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really about you being in control there and taking control. I think that's really what the issue is. So you got to be just really detailed in what those tasks are and make sure that they're not doing anything without your approval. Cool? Thumbs up? Yeah, we're good? Okay, awesome. So now you have somebody else, Bavin there. Russell, did Bavin have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, let me get him. Oh, did he lower his hand? I'm going to promote you there, Bavin, if you're interested.
Bavin, if you want to unmute your microphone. Hi, Bavin. How are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. How can we help?
Okay. I bought a house, and it's a 10-room house, and I bought just across the college, so I can do like the suite rentals, you know.
Yeah.
And there, after I bought it, I knew that there's a 2 tenants, and they were living already in a basement, you know, and they are actually very poor in health conditions.
Okay.
And so it's a very seniors, you know, they don't have a lot of money, but I If I go with the student profile, what I wanted, then they're not gonna fit. And or I can go with the senior profile, but I didn't buy property for that kind of stuff, So
Sure.
I was thinking, what should I do,
Okay. The tenants that you have in the basement, how good are those tenants? Do you like them? Are they paying their rent all the time?
Yeah, they are paying okay. They are paying on time. They always have a little bit short of money, like they are on like assistance,
Okay. Well,
So
what's the difference in the rent for that unit of what you would get if they decided to leave? Would the rents be much higher or would they be around the same?
no, it's the rent gonna be the same.
They'd be the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and they are okay if they are cooperating, whatever.
I hear a truck backing up.
Hold on, back it
I
up.
think your tenants are currently moving out while we're on this call.
That's right.
Oh, so guys, based on what you heard, what input would you have on that? It's regarding the rents. Do you keep with the tenant profile you have to keep the people in the basement when they're paying market rent, or do you go with your strategy, which potentially may have them move out, but I think Bavin's thinking about possibly the long term of having maybe tenants longer. What do you think, Russell? Do you have an opinion?
Well, I'm going to give a little bit of philosophy first, and this philosophy comes from a lot of hard lessons. My personal view of real estate success comes down to 3 pillars: what you buy, where you buy, and who you rent it to. Okay? And the most important of those 3 is who you rent it to. And the key thing that you might want to talk about first, Bavin, is what is your tenant profile, right? Which of those tenants, sounds like you have multiple profiles of tenants in the same place, which never is usually probably works. So is there a profile you like in there? Does that tenant profile match with the property? And then is that in the right area of town? So really just match those 3 up. And in the Venn diagram of those 3 things is the sweet spot of what you want. I don't like rooming houses. That's just my own personal choice. I think people that have done very well with them, I choose not to because I don't want to have that much of a management challenge. However, you can argue with the wonderful cash flow you get from it too, but there is a trade-off. It comes down to your lifestyle. It comes down to the amount of time and effort you want to put into the management. And it comes right down to, is that the tenant profile which will match the area and will also match the house? So that's kind of a politician's answer of dancing around the subject. But the number one thing I would say is match the right tenant profile in there. And if someone is the wrong tenant profile, they'll probably end up going on their own.
Tyler, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Okay. I think Russell just hit that perfect because it's a certain situation where it depends on the investor and the entrepreneur that's doing that deal, right? So I 100% agree with everything that Russell said there. And that is, I feel it will be more of a personal decision and what aligns with your 3 pillars, like you were saying. So I think that is perfect.
Awesome. Evan, do you feel that your question was answered to your satisfaction? Thumbs up if you feel it. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, you're cutting out, Evan, so we're going to let you go, but thank you for getting your questions out there, and thank you to our panelists for answering the questions. Russell, do you have anyone else with their hand up on the call here? Because we're going to wrap things up pretty soon here.
Yeah, well, you know what? At the end of the day, we're all cool if we need to stick around and have more conversations as well. So, guys, if you're interested in having a question on the line, by all means, just raise your hand in there, and we'll get you on the line, and we'll get you part of that process as well. So. Anyone else? Oh, one more. Rob's back again. So, Rob, I'm going to promote you to there.
Thanks, Bavin. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Rob, you're back again, brother?
Yes. Yeah, just another quick follow-up question. What do you think are the top 2 or 3 things to do online that help position you as a person raising capital?
You know what? For me, Document the journey. Everything you do, document it, and create digital content of you telling the story. The better you become a storyteller, and the better you can inspire others to do it, not just a storyteller from a look at me, boast my check, boom, 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 I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Be a storyteller that you uplift, encourage, inspire others to do what you're doing, and document every single thing you do, the good, the bad, and the ugly, especially the ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, the videos you do are your business card, right? Going to these networking groups and handing out business cards, that's really ineffective unless you're the one standing up on stage sharing and inspiring. But I think if you're just going there swapping cards and that's your goal, you're just wasting your time. So I agree with what Russell says. I know a lot of people reach out to me because they see the videos, they see what we're doing, and so that just acts as a business card. So when somebody opens a door for me, I just send them a link to something that I've created. And oftentimes when people are reaching out to me, they already feel like they know me because of the content that they've seen, whether it's been a podcast or a video or an article.
Yeah, I just robbed, and Tyler, I know you have I on my desk have a video camera sitting there pointed at me every day. And I actually have a reminder at 8 o'clock every morning to get some kind of video content shot every single day. I actually schedule it.
That's awesome. And Russell, you took the words right out of my mouth when you said storytelling. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people don't realize, and Gary Vaynerchuk, he's like the king at this. If you guys want to learn a lot about social media and everything, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he goes by as well. He's got great books. And there's a huge difference between promoting and storytelling online. If you're promoting and just sending out stuff, hey, there's this deal, hey, there's this deal, I'm looking for money, I'm looking for money, I'm looking for money, nobody's going to like you. Nobody's going to want to see your stuff, and they're going to block you because they're on there to see, social media stuff. Right. Yeah. But if you post, stories or, some issues that you had or some wins you had or some videos of you doing some stuff or just some Q&A, some live videos and just storytelling and being a part of the community, it's going to expand like crazy. And, the best people, there's also a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it talks about giving so much value, free, valuable stuff, nonstop online, that when it does come down to you crushing it. Yes, those two books right there. Thank you so much. I lent all my Gary Vaynerchuk books out last week, and I have so many books that are out there with friends. I need to go get them. But, he talks about when you give so much value that once you share your story, once you actually be like, hey, I got this deal, we're raising funds, people are going to be like, yep. They'll be all over it. But if you just go right for the right hook and don't throw any jabs out there, you're not going to get anywhere.
Hey guys, we have a superstar and a rock star that's joined us that has raised her hand up there from Regina and area too. Edna Keith. Would you like to join us? Hello, Edna. How are you?
Oh, great, guys. How are you? I had to poke my head in here and see what you guys are doing. I love what you're doing. You know what? It makes so much sense to share the challenges. I think people don't realize the life of an entrepreneur. They think it's all gravy. And so for you guys to share the challenges you went through, I just have to commend you for that.
You're saying it's not the gravy train with biscuit wheels?
Well, we're still waiting for that to happen, but we've only been doing it for 10 years. We've had some success, but like you, Russell, we've had some challenges, and I think it's important. Like I love being in the real estate industry. I think there's really good potential to build your wealth and help a lot of other people. You're talking about raising capital. It's a great way to help other people get involved in real estate too. But there's challenges. We're going through some of our biggest challenges 10 years in, almost 11 years. We're going in through some of our biggest challenges. So I can relate to what you guys are saying.
Yeah. And Edna, I want to give some credit where credit is due. And I don't know if many people have ever said this to you, or maybe they do. I don't know. I just want to acknowledge the work that you're doing out in Saskatchewan and the prairies for inspiring another generation and the new generation of real estate entrepreneurs. We're looking at some products of that coming through, and they're going out and spreading their wings, and they're inspiring other people too. So I think just credit where credit is due there. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. You know what? I'm so proud of those guys. guys. I'm so proud of Tyler. So of course, when I get a chance to see what he's doing out there in the world, I like to see, because you know what, that's something I promote, as you guys do too. You can't get all your answers from one person. And you need to build your network. Your network is your net worth. And Tyler's definitely a king at that. He's doing really, really well. So proud of him.
Yeah, you've done an awesome job with Tyler. And also, just so you know, when Tyler was in Ottawa, he did a great job of honoring you for the coaching and mentoring that you gave him. And he did talk about the importance of having a coach, a mentor, a mastermind group. And this conversation we're having tonight is really inspired by Tyler's presentation. This was an idea I had for quite some time, and it wasn't until after Tyler's presentation I had a conversation with Russell on our weekly calls, and I said, hey, Russell, you know, I really feel like this is the time to do it. And so Russell and I put our heads together and said, you know, let's make it happen. So we're here, and I want to thank you for inviting me out to come to Regina and speak at your group. Like as Russell said,
you were a big hit, and I think I've been talking to Russell. He might be coming out next year. So I love working with all you guys.
I hear he's pretty good.
Yeah. Honored to serve, as always.
Yeah, we have a really good group in Regina, and Rich noticed that. Tyler talks about it all the time. We really have a good group, and they're leaders, and they love sharing, which I think is so important. I don't know if it's a Saskatchewan thing, but well, obviously it's not. Look at you two. But hey, guess what? I don't know if you guys seen, but I got my 10-year rain thing today.
Oh, nice!
Congratulations! Just today, so
very good. Cool. Congratulations.
Yes, well, anyway, thank you guys. I just wanted to give you kudos because I love what you're doing. It's so important. You know, I've belonged to Mastermind since 1999. I have never not been part of one. I started my own in 2014. And it's so beneficial for everybody involved. I'm off to another mastermind of mine tomorrow in New York City. So we learn from lots of different people.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Edna, for jumping in on the call and sharing your input with us. And thanks for doing such a great job with Tyler. He's a great representation of what's possible. And your guidance has definitely helped him get to where he is. And he's spreading that around the country and inspiring every age. All ages. And
hey Rich, it's just Saskatchewan. There's something in the water.
Oh, yeah.
It's something in the water, brother.
Well, we did fly him here, so you know, he's definitely making an impact, no doubt.
It's something in the Vico, in the beep, and in the bunny hugs.
Yeah, exactly.
And only people from Saskatchewan would know what I just said.
Exactly, and we do. Well, thanks you guys. Excellent job. I'm loving what you're doing, and if you need any help from me to promote your mastermind, let me know. I definitely can.
Thank you, Edna. That's awesome.
Right on. Thanks, Edna.
Thank you, Edna.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're going to wrap things up here. I'm just going to flip through a few slides here that I have. These are some of the questions that we were going to talk about, but we'll get into this at another time. But what are your bad habits or routines to conquer in the day? How do you set up your day for success? And what future topics would be of interest to you? This is something that we have as a question for all of you. And we want you to know that we talked about the books, but I want you to know that Russell is coming to Ottawa on October 10th. He'll be speaking at the Ottawa Real Estate Investors Organization. He was here last October. Very amazing presentation. So definitely come out to that, and we'd love to see you there. But also wanted to tell you what LeaderShare is all about. So we're a group of highly motivated people who are committed to growing personally and professionally while helping others do the same. We are leaders who want to share our experience and provide a safe environment to help others overcome their current challenges and stay motivated. That's what this group is all about. So we want you to be a part of it. We've created a LeaderShare Mastermind group. This is an exclusive group. It's a closed group right now. And what we want you to do is come on there, onto the group, join it. And when you join the group, there's 3 questions that you're going to be asked. And just so you know, this was our very first LeaderShare Mastermind event. So we don't pretend to know it all, and we want to get feedback from you. So we want to know what's the one thing that you want to get out of this group. If you can answer that question when you join the group, what's currently your biggest obstacle, And what would your life or business look like if you were able to overcome that obstacle? So, and also if there are future guests that you think, whether it be you or whether it be somebody who you've heard, who you feel has really made an impact, whether it was through inspiration or knowledge, we want to hear from you as well. So this group is designed for you. We invite you to take part of it. Join the exclusive Facebook group. And, we're just going to continue to lead with value. That's what we're all about. We want to help others because others have helped us to get to where we are. And we still haven't figured everything out. And I don't think that you'll figure it out without having a group or a safe place where you can share and learn and ask your questions. So I want to thank you guys again for being on the call. I want to thank Russell. Thanks, Russell, for being on the call. And Tyler, you guys are doing some incredible things. I'm really proud to have you both as friends. And I look forward to spending more time with you guys and sharing the stuff that we can do, whatever we can share to help others on their journey.
So Rich, what we want people to do is to join the group, and they'll get probably a follow-up email maybe with that directly. And also, everybody, you guys can just you can just search it out. Leaders Share Mastermind. Also, both work. So.
Yeah, and if you have people who you feel would want to be part of the group, then feel free to tell them about it. We don't want this group to be a 10,000 people group. We want it to be very focused for people who really need this. We don't want this to be one of the things that people just scroll through their news feeds because they were added to the group when they didn't want to be. We only want people in this group who really want to be there and understand the mission of what we're trying to accomplish. It's not just about us sharing, it's about you sharing. You share your expertise, your knowledge. We all work together as a family, a community to really help other people get to where they want to be and overcome the obstacles along the way. Cool?